Thank you. Councillor Burch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Just wanted to ask, did you say that, well, first of all, if there was going to be a change like Councillor Gill's motion is suggesting, where the chair would be elected, which I would support, would that not have to come from the regional level of government?
I think the province can impose, according to this Bill 18,
right.
The province can say all regional chairmen will be directly elected. Done.
Or the region could do it?
The region could do it, yes.
Okay. So what I'm puzzled by is you mentioned that there was a vote that you weren't going to discuss it for the whole term. So how do you change something if was that a motion that passed?
Yes, it was. It was
Somebody made a motion not to discuss the topic at all.
Yes.
For the entire term.
Yes.
And it passed?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And so how is anything supposed to change when a motion is passed that you can't even discuss it? Or what happens if somebody brings it up, like if you, in the next regional council meeting, you decided you wanted to talk about it, would you be told you're not allowed to talk about it?
Well, it would be interesting to hear what Mayor Martin has to say. But the motion was, and I put it in terms of an agreement among councillors, that we would leave that subject alone for a term. I've been on that regional council for 18, 19 years. And this discussion of governance comes up every few years. And before this last term, we'd spent, I think, probably 2 terms. A lot of time and energy looking at all the different models and trying to come up with a different way of doing it. We started when the amalgamations of Hamilton and Sudbury and Ottawa got started by the province. We spent a lot of time and energy and really affected nothing. So council decided that this term we would leave that, set that aside, and do the business of council, and make sure that happens well. Yet here we are at the end of that 4-year term, that agreement that we would not go there this term, and hearing from the public and from many quarters that there is a need to make a change. And so I think the appropriate venue for it is to start discussing it and take it into the election and see how the public feels about it, so that we can get this done over the first couple of years of the next term, so that 4 years from now the election will be based on a new governance model, whatever it is. And my preference is this Halton model. But that's why we decided as a council not to discuss it this term, because there were more important things to do, and it seemed like an endless circle that was consuming a lot of energy and achieving very little.
Okay. Well, we're allowed to talk about it here.
That's good. That's why I'm here.
Okay.
This is a marvelous opportunity.
The whole issue of the regional chair being elected, which is really all that Councillor Gill's motion says, do you feel that that's happening? Like, why is that the first thing you would try and correct? Like, we have basically a system that ignores rep by pop. It's not even close. Mm-hmm. And that's the most basic, representation by population. I mean, that's the most basic principle, with any level of government. It seems to be okay in Niagara not to have rep by pop. So wouldn't that be the first thing that you'd want to fix before you start changing these other rules?
Well, and that may be appropriate, but we agreed we were not going to deal with that this term. Councillor Gill's motion was prompted by a motion or by a bill before the House that was going to ask the province to make a wholesale change that would include Niagara. So it's appropriate to speak to that. The representation by population has been the major problem in the discussions for the last 15 years, and nothing will be achieved or could be achieved at the regional level, because all the small municipalities are concerned about the larger municipalities, and the larger municipalities are concerned with the smaller municipalities outvote the urban issues. So that is exactly the subject that had been discussed for years prior to this term.
Well, for the small municipalities not to outvote the urban center, you would have to have rep by pop. I mean, you can't have both.
That's right. The balance that I think the region was designed on was the concern that first you wanted to take 29 local councils and make them, squish that down to 12. And then in order to accomplish that at the time, there was, the need was that the smaller municipalities had to be some confidence that they weren't simply going to be dictated by, you know, the combination of St. Catharines and Niagara Falls were just going to run the region, and the small towns were going to be helpless. So that was the original design. And now the design 40 years later needs to be changed. I think this change towards the direct elective or regional chair is a good start. As I said, it's not the only part. And I think the model that I'm talking about will put city councillors around the region at the same table, at the region. And I think you'll see the evolution of a fair rep by pop, and the need for all those other regional issues will develop. Because, you know, there'll be 6 city councillors sitting with 3 from Niagara Falls, 2 from Welland, and all those other city councillors. They're all dealing with the same stuff.
So my last question is, the one thing you didn't mention is that when a regional chair is selected after the municipal election, that also causes another vacancy, which is then filled by someone who is not elected. So is that a concern as well?
That's the current model.
Right.
And it is not, you know, I think it's worked out fine that way, but that's not the bigger issue. It would eliminate, in terms of cost saving, it would eliminate the need for a by-election, or would eliminate the need to promote someone who didn't make it into a seat that's vacated because the regional chair is now left a councillor seat.
All the people would actually be elected.
Everybody will be elected.
Okay,
That's right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.